Hi guys, happy Tuesday. Let's get into it because there's so much to get into. Oh my gosh. I don't think I've been this excited about a podcast for a while. Sorry, I've been away for a few days just to recoup. We will need a break every now and again, but even when I'm on a break, I still miss y'all. So I'm excited to be back. Right, a lot to get through today. Oh, the ancestors strike again. No BD, you said squaddies go to bed. I have I'm glad to have you here. You'll want to stay. If you were about to go to bed, you'll want to stay for this one. Claudia Sims, good morning, everyone. The notification woke me up. It's 5:17 in Jamaica. Well, it was worth waking up for. Hey, Lucy. Hey, Janice. Hey, Mina. Alrighty. First things first. Thank you, everyone who continue to buy the Raw Codes book and send me pictures. I'm yet to respond to her. I do apologize, but there was a lady who she sent me a picture of the book and her husband bought it for her and he wrote a dedication in the book, which was so sweet. Thank you to that lady and thank you to her husband for buying your sweet wife my book. And it's so cool as a writer to see your book in people's homes. Like that is just the wildest thing. So thank you so much, everyone. All right, let's get into it. Try not to laugh. No, I don't mean that. Laugh all you want. I'm not about laughing about other people's demise, except for when there's people like Jeremy Clarkson. So Jeremy Clarkson, he was on holiday having the time of his life, and then got back to the UK, and it all just went down for him. So this is I'm going to read this from the BBC. Jeremy Clarkson has revealed that he underwent a heart procedure after he experienced a sudden deterioration in his health. These problems all manifested themselves in one day, which made the rest of his holiday extreme. Oh wait, no, sorry, I'm reading from the wrong part of the article. So he had gone on holiday, and then back at home, the sudden deterioration began to gather pace. He said he woke up on Wednesday morning not feeling too good. I was clammy, and there was a tightness in my chest. He then goes, there's one particular bit of the article. Sorry, I'm looking for it because it's going to help me make my point. Just give me a sec. Where is it now? Where is it now? Okay, I cannot find the bit of the article that I was looking for. But anyway, this is the guy. Let me just get to the point. This is the guy who said, and I quote, in a Sun article about Meghan and Harry, he said, "At night, I am unable to sleep as I lie there, grinding my teeth and dreaming of the day when she, Meghan, is made to parade naked through the streets of every town in Britain while the crowds chant shame and throw excrement at her." Instead of focusing on his health, instead of focusing on positivity, instead of focusing on the many opportunities that this man, with all his privilege, has been handed, this man said that he laid up at night, dreaming, grinding his teeth, and hoping that Meghan Markle will be paraded through the streets. And here he is, having to be rushed into surgery over a heart attack fear. This is what we mean when we say that hate will ruin your health. He also said he hated Meghan on a cellular level, and here he is deteriorating on a cellular level. That article, by the way, came out the day after he had gone to lunch with Camilla. I'm sure Camilla will send him flowers. Hi, Carter, up early in California. Great to have you here. Mina, you said, I don't feel bad for these Neanderthals. What you put out is what you get back. Exactly. Whether it's people falling downstairs because they said that Harry should be thrown off a balcony, people getting divorced, people who said that Harry and Meghan's marriage wouldn't last, getting divorced. I mean, be nice. That's how easy it is. Be nice. And I'm just still horrified, although not surprised, that article that Jeremy Clarkson wrote was allowed to be posted in the Sun. but everything about the Sun editor and all of that drama. Shocked but not surprised. Joy, she said, as far as Jeremy Clarkson, I wonder, did he get a chance to show free? I don't think he's going to get a chance to do much if he doesn't focus on his health instead of being up at night, grinding his teeth, thinking about Meghan. I mean, I am not a doctor, but I'm pretty sure not sleeping well probably helps to lead to heart attacks, especially if you're up at night, not sleeping well, and hating on other people. The way the ancestors are doing their work, wow. Also, the BBC News has called off its ill-fated plan for the first royal editor in history. Tell me you're out of touch without telling me you're out of touch, because I don't know why, when the interest could not be any more low, you would want to plan for your first royal editor. I mean, you've got Harry and Meghan fan sites now, or platforms that are more critical of monarchy, that have more followers than some mainstream media accounts at this point. Anyway, this is from Deadline. BBC News has scrapped plans to hire the first royal editor in its history after a messy recruitment process in which the UK broadcaster missed out on its preferred candidate. Deadline revealed in August that the search had been thrown into doubt after Roy Anika, the Sunday Times royal editor and CBS News contributor, decided to stay put at the Rupert Murdoch-owned newspaper. Oh, of course she did. Roy Anika, by the way, is named in lawsuits against Murdoch and his papers. So she's going to stay right where she knows she's probably better protected. Of course, we know that the BBC like to protect all types of nonsense, but she is going to be a lot more protected under the umbrella of Rupert Murdoch. So she's protecting her own back, and they probably offered her more money. Richard Burgess, director of news content at BBC News, announced that the recruitment process had been abandoned in an email to staff this week. The email detailed structural newsroom changes as part of plans to close 130 journalism roles. So they're closing 130 journalism roles. Berge said, like many other media organizations, we need to adapt to new audience challenges, and we continue to operate against a very difficult financial picture across the BBC. This means our newsroom must continue to evolve. You can start by being truthful and not protecting nonsense. Start there. How about we start with the obvious? BBC News' search became a months-long saga after the corporation initially passed over two internal candidates, either Mark Easton, BBC News' home editor, or royal correspondent Daniela Ralph, were expected to be handed the position in April, but I actually don't know who either of those two people are, so they're not even going for... this is another problem, like when it comes to media, especially mainstream media, and who gets these roles. They have not really nurtured any talent or any relatable talent or knowable by name talent. But both were told they had not been successful. Ralph was later elevated to senior royal correspondent. So they later opened up the external role to other candidates, and interviews for the post took place in June with candidates beyond Roy Anika, thought to include ITV News' royal editor Chris Shipp and Rhiannon Mills. That's the one that was annoying Harry on the South African tour. She's one of the Sky News royal correspondents. BBC News has traditionally appointed royal correspondents, but the corporation decided to hire an editor last year ahead of the entire retirement of Nicholas Whittle, a 25-year-old veteran of the beat. I had to just laugh every single time I hear Nicholas Whittle's name, because that guy, oh my goodness, the most bitter Harry and Meghan hater grandpa. But there you go. And, you know, the evolution of this story is incredible. You had from earlier this year, gosh, when is this? I have to look at the... all the way back in December 2023, actually, they started to search. And we're almost a year later, they're now calling off the search. Like, that's how slow these people move as well. Like, wow. It took you that long to realize this was an absolute waste of time. In other news, Sarah, no neck niggling feeling Vine. So she's divorced from Michael Gove, who's a government minister. He was a Conservative government minister. And he said in I don't know if this was an interview or what this was exactly, but he says that his ex-wife being derided over leaked emails was one of the most painful moments of his career. I don't really know if it's the wife being derided, or rather that email just got leaked. That's what he's really upset about. But I find this very hypocritical when this is the same Sarah Vine who wrote many articles trashing Meghan, saying horrible things about her, playing into conspiracy theories about her pregnancy, her moon bump, all of these things, that her pregnancy was fake. And unfortunately, I don't have the footage because it's not uploading, but Sarah Vine herself has written pretty nasty articles about other politicians' spouses and their looks. I think she referred to Ed Miliband's wife as looking like, I think he said that she looked like Mr. Spock or something like that, the alien from Star Trek. So I think that you get back what you put out. And I don't particularly feel bad for Sarah Vine, and perhaps Mr. Gove should, look at the things that his ex-wife has put out in the past. Also, Richard Palmer. He's an interesting character. Richard Palmer is a Royal Rota reporter. He posted this. My view is, and always has been, that journalists and their news organizations will only survive if they have earned a reputation as trusted news sources. I think those putting up 44 especially one that put out a lot of hate about Harry and Meghan. And I also think it's quite hypocritical of Richard Palmer to be saying this, because he's been part of this monster machine for some time. But I think he's realized what I think a lot of the others are going to realize, that they have to think of some kind of alternative to survive going forward. Because only, I think a week ago, Richard Palmer wrote a very soft, albeit very soft, hit piece against the royals and their finances. And this is someone who is typically reports quite positively on the royals. So I think that Richard Palmer is very, very slowly jumping ship, and we can probably expect some of the others to follow suit. But it is true that if you are putting out 44 stories a day, not based on truth, and only to rile up hatred towards one or two particular people, in this case Harry and Meghan, that it reeks of desperation. I mean, it shows just how much return and revenue that these organizations are getting, but it also reeks of desperation. He also said this a couple of days ago, which I thought was quite interesting. He said, I think that's been widely misunderstood. It's true of most people and organizations who deal with the media, e.g. politicians or professional sports teams, that both sides need each other, and fallouts can sometimes occur. And I take issue with this, because when it comes to public figures in the media, it shouldn't be a case of both sides need each other. It should be a case of, first of all, the media just reporting truth. I don't even think there should be any type of liaison between the media and public figures. The media should just report the truth. They should not report sensationalism. They should report what is in the public's interest, and not just gossip and drama. That's what should be happening. So he admits that to some level that there is correspondence between the media and public figures, that there shouldn't be. There should be accountability on both sides. Meredith responded to this by saying, William and Kate sued Condé Nast because they didn't like some of the things said in the Tatler piece. I think this was the famous Kate the Great Tatler piece, and leaked the victory to the Daily Fail, who they are obviously a little bit more, or have been a little bit more aligned with. So this is one of the reasons why BBC and all these news organizations are having to let go of so many staff, because people know that there isn't, that they're not being fed the whole truth. that there is on both sides, they are liaisoning, both public figures and the media are liaisoning with each other, and it just shouldn't happen that way. If there was the truth and nothing but the truth, you wouldn't have that. Oh, do we have Elaine Parker? Good morning to you, a member for 28 months. Thank you. Yes, actually, all those who wish for Harry and Meghan to divorce are now divorcing. How weird is that? And that's because a lot of them are projecting. Okay, on to the next thing. Gosh, there's quite a few things to get through. Charles. So obviously Charles and Camilla are down under. They arrived to reign, and life just continues to reign on this royal tour parade. So Charles went to a lunch, and he only spent about 10 minutes there. He did not linger long at the luncheon in his honor at the second event scheduled for his short Australian visit, and his gift to the gathering was a reminder of the fleeting passage of time. Oh dear. Let me just read this out. There's an article from Kaiser that I wanted to read. Also, shout out to the squaddy, Zandy, who is actually on the ground. I'm going to read a couple of her tweets later on in the podcast, but she's had some very interesting things to say about what's been happening on the ground. So Charles and Camilla went to a church service, the St. Thomas Anglican Church, having announced a day earlier that people should come out to greet the King and Queen. Now, this was actually posted on social because they wanted more people to be there. That's not often done, especially for security reasons. But it was interesting they did this on this occasion. Hundreds of people did so legitimately. Hundreds of Australians came out to shake Charles's hand or wish him well. There were protesters, but they were kept a distance away from the church. The protesters chanted "Not My King" and "Always was, always will be Aboriginal land." I think I have, where was it now? Oh, yes, here we go. So there were some protesters there. There were videos circulating where protesters were talking about how the British monarch does not represent Australia. There were also large banners reading messages about decolonization and empire. The Guardian mentioned something interesting about the hundreds of fans. The Australian Monarchist League had pledged to hand out thousands of supportive pro-monarchy flags and placards, as in they expected thousands of people to show up outside of the church, but only a couple of hundred actually showed up. So people did show up, but it was not the thousands that they probably would have wanted. It was definitely not this. This is what they wanted. The more grainier images, those are older images. You have to squint a little bit to see Diana, but she's in the middle of those crowds. And then you have the images of Harry and Meghan's tour. While the British media tried to put the best spin on all of this, the Telegraph even had to admit that when the couple first arrived, they met some of the younger members of the congregation at the church door as a group of protesters could be heard shouting "Not My King," but were drowned out by shouts of "Hip hip hooray." Yes, God help us if Charles has to hear faint "Not My King" chants in a country family brutally colonized. That wasn't all. After the church visit, Charles headed off to a lunch in his honor. The Guardian's headline, "King Charles makes relaxed start to Australian tour but spends less than 10 minutes at lunch in his honor." Charles did not linger long at the luncheon put on in his honor. There was a menu fit for a king and very Sydney: char-grilled asparagus and olive dust, marinated octopus and squid ink wafer. But the sovereign was gone before the first course. He addressed the gathering at New South Wales Parliament House. He offered an hourglass as a present, told lawmakers the sands of time would encourage brevity, and left within 10 minutes of his arrival in the hall, not to be seen again in public until Monday. Some people said that the palace officials were basically like, "Charles is tired. We're trying to limit his schedule." But it was a lunch. It was his only other event on Sunday after the church service. I get it, he's really tired. But to not even stay a full 10 minutes at lunch in your honor when you just had a rest on Sunday. And then the way in which they met their well wishers. I am so sorry that I do not have the video, because the video really tells a whole story. But basically what you had is Camilla, and she's like this for almost the whole video. I'll try and get the video for the next podcast. And she's not looking at them. She's walking past and she's not looking at them. I mean, this is what we say when we say this lady wanted the crown. She didn't want Charles, she wanted the crown, but she's not even ready to do the bare minimum of what it requires to have the crown. She was not looking at the people who were standing there at all. So for the people that did come, they. And then this happened. Again, I am sorry I wasn't able to upload the video, but I will do for the next podcast, because there's actually a alternative view of the original footage that came out that panned to Camilla, and she is laughing as Thorpe, a member of Parliament, protested. This senator. So let's have a read of this. So this happened yesterday in Canberra. So Charles and Camilla flew from Sydney to Canberra. One of the biggest events of the day was Charles's address to Australian Parliament. So he was actually addressing Parliament when this happened. It was right after his speech that Senator Lydia Thorpe staged a one-woman protest of his visit and his address. The King's speech in the Australian Parliament was disrupted by shouts of genocide and F the colonies as a senator used the royal visit to protest. Senator Lydia also was after escorted from the Great Hall of Parliament. Speaking moments before, the King had delivered a speech in which he particularly addressed the First Nations people and their traditional wisdom, thanking them for their welcome ceremony and paying his respect to the traditional owners of the lands on which we meet. After the speech, which also touched on the King and Elizabeth II's memories of visits to Australia and topics including climate change, and Senator Thorpe, who is well known for her protest, shouted, "You committed genocide against our people. Give us our land back. Give us what you stole from us, our bones, our skulls, our babies, our people. You destroyed our land. Give us a treaty. We want a treaty. We want a treaty with this country. This is not your land. This is not your land. You are not my king. You are not our king." Yeah, she really went at it. And this clip, by the way, it's been going viral. And it's had a, obviously people who are very pro-monarchy are very riled up. This guy, Marty Fields, posting, "Who told Lydia Thorpe she could speak for us? Who told her it was okay to scream at the king? I don't care if you are black, white, royalist, or Republican. Have some respect. As a monarch, he has earned it. What a disgrace." And then Graham Smith, who's the leader of the Not Fighting Republic group, said she was literally elected to speak for Australians, unlike Charles, who hasn't earned a thing. So I think that Lydia is very brave for attempting this. It's definitely caught people's attention. This video has been all over my feed. And then you had Camilla laughing while this was happening. I'll get the footage for tomorrow, promise. What you wanted to avoid, but what you actually got, and what you wanted here on the screen. This is what they wanted. It's not what they're going to get. Now, they're actually going to be at the Sydney Opera House. This is Scotty Zandi. She posted, "A few people have asked what to expect when Charles and Camilla visit Sydney Opera House tomorrow. So here's a thread. Sydney Opera House is a busy tourist attraction on any day. Going there is like turning up to the Eiffel Tower and claiming people have camped all day to see you. There will definitely be a large crowd, and most of them will be tourists, passers-by, or people who work in the area. This is a place that already attracts busloads of tourists and is a restaurant and entertainment hub. If you need a made crowd, this is the place to go, of course." And you know, these royal tours are so meticulously planned. New South Wales laws are outrageously unfriendly to protesters, and I believe protesters are not being allowed near there. The UK Republic movement is planning a protest in the CBD area at a different site. So they're definitely going to get crowds, but they're crowds that would have already been there. All right, that's all I have to say for today. I will end with your comments. And then I'll either come back actually for a second podcast today if I can manage to upload those pieces of footage. And there's also some other things that have come up like in the last hour that I just wasn't able to fit into this podcast. So I'll either do a second podcast today or I'll just see you all tomorrow. Hey, Truth of Dilly. Truth of Dilly. Truth of Dilly, I see you commenting on other people's channels. And I'm like, we clearly have the same taste in YouTubers. We'd definitely be friends in real life, Shivadilly. Aba, they deserve the Del Royals. Well, you know, all of this about Camilla and Charles being tired. Well, you had 2 younger royals with all the energy and you kicked them out. So you're gonna have to deal with it. Sorry. Hey, Valerie Smith. Hope you're good. The Arno, you said, Lydia spoke truth to power about all the things that the colonizers desperately want to never be mentioned so they can keep pretending that their bloodstained hands are clean. Indeed, she did. Okay. Yeah, I'll wrap things up there. Thank you as always, everyone. Please do enjoy the rest of your day. And as Megan would say, good vibes only. Ciao.